There are two characters that I'm going to refer to here, both writers. One is Paul Haggis, who is a two-time Academy Award-winning writer and director who was in Scientology for 34 years. And the other is L. Ron Hubbard, who was the founder of Scientology, and incidentally, as a writer, he holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the number of titles by any one author, more than 1,000. Would write 100,000 words a month, so give you something to aspire to. If nothing else, this book is a testament to the damage that writers can do. Like every Scientologist, when Haggis entered the church, he took his first steps into the mind of L. Ron Hubbard. He read about Hubbard's adventurous life, how he wandered the world, led dangerous expeditions, and healed himself of crippling war injuries through the techniques that he developed into Dianetics. He was not a prophet like Muhammad or divine like Jesus. He had not been visited by an angel bearing tablets of revelation like Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism. Scientologists believe that Hubbard discovered the existential truths that form their doctrine through extensive research. In that way, it is science. The apparent rationalism appealed to Haggis. He had long since walked away from the religion of his upbringing, but he was still looking for a way to express his idealism. It was important to him that Scientology didn't demand belief in a God. But the figure of L. Ron Hubbard did hover over the religion in suggestive ways. He wasn't worshipped exactly, but his visage and name were everywhere, like the absolute ruler of a small kingdom. There seemed to be two Hubbards within the church, the godlike authority whose every word was regarded as scripture, and the avuncular figure that Haggis saw on the training videos. He didn't seem self-important or pious. He was like the dashing, wisecracking hero of a B-movie who had seen everything and somehow had it all figured out. Hubbard was always chuckling to himself, marveling over some random observation that had just occurred to him, with a little wink to the audience suggesting that they not take him too seriously. He would just open his mouth and a mob of new thoughts would burst forth, elbowing each other in the race to make themselves known to the world. "You walked in one day and you said, 'I'm a seneschal,'" Hubbard observed in a characteristic aside, "and this knight with 8-inch spurs standing there, humph, and say, 'I'm supposed to open the doors to this castle. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm a very trusted retainer.' He's insisting he's the seneschal, but nobody will pay him his wages and so forth. He was somebody before he became the seneschal. Now as a seneschal, he became nobody, until he finally went out and got a begging pan on the highway and began to hold it out for fish and chips as people came along, you know. Now he says, 'I am something. I am a beggar.' But that's still something. Then the New York State Police come along, or somebody, and they say to him, I'm a little mixed up in my periods here, but they say to him, 'Do you realize that you cannot beg upon the public road without license number 603F?' So he starves to death and kicks the bucket, and there he lies. Now he's somebody. He's a corpse. But he's not dead. He's merely a corpse. Got the idea? But he goes through sequences of becoming nobody, somebody, nobody, somebody, nobody, somebody, nobody, not necessarily on a dwindling spiral. Some people get up to the point of being a happy man. You know the old story of a happy man. I won't tell it, but he didn't have a shirt. Just as this parable begins to ramble into incoherence, Hubbard comes to the point, which is that a being is not his occupation or even the body he presently inhabits. The central insight of Scientology is that a being is eternal, what Hubbard terms a thetan. This chap, in other words, was somebody until he began to identify his beingness with a thing. None of those beingnesses are the person. The person is the thetan. He had this amazing buoyancy, Haggis recalled. He had a deadpan sense of humor and this sense of himself that seemed to say, yes, I am fully aware that I might be mad, but I also might be onto something. The zealotry that empowered so many members of the church came from the belief that they were the vanguard of the struggle to save humanity. To advance such lofty goals, Hubbard developed a technology to attain spiritual freedom and discover oneself as an immortal being. Scientology works 100% of the time when it is properly applied to a person who sincerely desires to improve his life, a church publication declares. This guarantee rests on the assumption that through rigorous research, Hubbard had uncovered a perfect understanding of human nature. One must not stray from the path he has laid down or question his methods. Scientology is exact. Scientology is certain. Step by step, one can ascend toward clarity and power, becoming more oneself, but paradoxically also more like Hubbard. Scientology is the geography of his mind. Perhaps no individual in history has taken such copious internal soundings and described with so much logic and minute detail the inner workings of his own mentality. The method Hubbard put forward created a roadmap toward his ideal self. Hubbard's habits, his imagination, his goals, his wishes, his character, in other words, became both the basis and the destination of Scientology. Thank you.